So blessings, if you've checked out this book here, if you've been taking a look here, the book is called The Great Reset. It's called The Great Reset. Fasting is our natural way. Fasting is our natural state. The Great Reset by Nabiha. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. The Great Reset. Fasting is our natural state by Nabiha. Acknowledgements. This book is the result of deep listening to silence, to nature, to the wisdom of the body, and to the voice within. I offer my deepest gratitude to the unseen guidance that has walked with me throughout this journey of life, the universal intelligence that whispered truths in moments of stillness and revealed clarity in the absence of noise. To my ancestors, thank you for the strength in my bones and the memory in my blood. To my family and beloved friends, thank you for your love, patience, and presence as I peeled away the layers and walked this path of return. Your support anchored me when I drifted, and your reflections helped me see more clearly. To every soul who has fasted not only from food, but from distractions, illusions, and limitations, thank you for existing. You remind me that I am not alone on this path. To the readers of this book, thank you for your openness, your curiosity, and your courage to question what the world calls normal. May these words serve as a mirror, a spark, or simply a pause that brings you closer to yourself. And finally, to life itself, thank you for being the teacher, the lesson, and the student all at once. With infinite love and reverence, Nabiha love. Dedication to the ones who remember, who feel the quiet whisper beneath the noise, who sense that life was never meant to be lived in cycles of craving and consumption. This is for the souls who are waking up, the seekers who dare to pause, who choose stillness over stimulation, and who find nourishment not in food, but in truth. To every being reclaiming their sovereignty, who knows that the body is wise, the spirit eternal, and the hunger was never for food, but for freedom. This book is for you, the brave, the curious, the ancient ones returning home. Welcome back to your natural state. Welcome back to yourself. About the author, Nabiha Love is an explorer of consciousness, a seeker of truth, and a lover of the unknown. Her journey is not one of instruction, but of remembrance, a return to the wisdom already woven into the fabric of our being. With a deep reverence for silence, nature, and the unseen, Nabiha walks the path of the observer, gently unraveling the illusions of the modern world to reveal the simplicity of what has always been. Her words are offerings, reflections that invite stillness, presence, and deeper inquiry into the nature of life and the self. She believes we are not just bodies or minds, but infinite beings dreaming through form, here to awaken, remember, and create. When she is not writing or reading, Nabiha moves with breath, flows with rhythm, and communes with the natural world. Whether in stillness or in motion, she listens closely to life, to spirit, and to the quiet knowing that exists beyond words. Her work is not a call to follow, but a nudge to return. I like that. All right. What is fasting? Many people view fasting as a sacred practice or a spiritual ritual, something that elevates them to a higher state of being. While fasting does have profound effects on the body, mind, and spirit, the truth is far simpler. Fasting is simply a return to your natural state. It is not something extraordinary or mystical. It is a state where the body is doing what it was designed to do. The illusion of constant consumption. Modern life has conditioned us to believe that constant eating is necessary for survival. We are bombarded with messages that tell us to eat 3 full meals a day, with snacks in between, ensuring that our digestive system never truly rests. This cycle of continuous consumption disconnects us from the natural intelligence of the body. We eat not because we are hungry, but because we've been programmed to believe that hunger is dangerous, that we must always be full to feel secure. But nature doesn't operate like this. In the wild, animals do not eat constantly. They go through periods of fasting, instinctively knowing when to rest and allow their bodies to heal. Humans, too, were never meant to be in a perpetual state of digestion. Our ancestors went days without food, relying on their body's natural ability to tap into stored energy and rejuvenate during times of fasting. When you fast, you are not doing something unnatural or extreme. You are aligning with the rhythm of nature. You are allowing your body to shift from constant digestion to a state of repair and regeneration. This is not a spiritual act. It is a biological necessity. The body, when given time and space, knows how to cleanse, heal, and rebalance itself. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It knows how to process food, absorb nutrients, and eliminate waste. But when it's overloaded with constant input, it becomes overwhelmed. Fasting gives the body space to reset, to clear out toxins, balance hormones, and repair damaged cells. In this state, your body is not deprived, it is empowered. Fasting is often seen as a mystical practice, but it is not magic. It is a return to the original blueprint of the body. When you fast, you are not transcending physical limits. You are returning to a state where the body can operate as it was designed. You are giving it permission to rest, to heal, and to thrive without interference. The real magic is in recognizing that fasting is not a punishment, nor is it something to fear. It is about deprivation. It is not about deprivation. It is about liberation. There we go. When you fast, you break free from the illusion that food controls you. You realize that your body can sustain itself, that hunger is not an emergency, and that fullness does not equate to fulfillment. Being natural is the goal. In truth, fasting is about simplicity. It is about remembering that the body doesn't need to be constantly fed. It is about trusting that your body knows what to do when you step back and allow it to function in its natural state. When you fast, you are not achieving something supernatural. You are simply returning home to yourself, to the state where your body, mind, and spirit align effortlessly. And in that natural state, there is peace, there is clarity, there is power. You are not doing anything extraordinary. You are simply being natural. Chapter 1. The natural state of the body. The human body is a masterpiece of intelligent design, a system built for balance, harmony, and efficiency. Every organ, every cell, and every mechanism operates in unison, maintaining a delicate equilibrium that ensures survival and longevity. Yet, in the modern world, we have often forgotten this natural rhythm. We have drifted so far off course that we have mistaken consumption for nourishment and overindulgence for survival. The body was never meant to operate under a constant influx of food. It was designed to function in cycles of fasting and feasting, aligning itself with the natural world, where abundance and scarcity rise and fall. To truly understand fasting as the body's natural state, we must first dismantle the misconception that food is the body's primary source of energy. Modern society has conditioned us to believe that eating 3 meals a day, often with snacks in between, is essential for survival. But this narrative is built on convenience and consumerism, not biology. Our ancestors did not have refrigerators stocked with processed foods, nor did they have access to sugary snacks and calorie-dense meals. They lived in alignment with nature, eating only when food was available and allowing their bodies time to rest, reset, and regenerate. The body is like a finely tuned vehicle. Just as a car cannot run endlessly without overheating or breaking down, the body cannot function properly without periods of rest. When we overeat or eat constantly, we force the body to focus all its energy on digestion, leaving little room for healing, regeneration, and detoxification. But when the body is given a break through fasting, its gears shift. It shifts gears and moves into a state of repair. In a fasted state, the body activates processes like autophagy, a natural mechanism where cells break down and recycle damaged components, clearing out waste and optimizing cellular function. This is the body's built-in maintenance system, ensuring that old, damaged, and dysfunctional cells are replaced with new, vibrant ones. Without fasting, autophagy is suppressed, and the body accumulates waste, leading to inflammation, dis-ease, and accelerated aging. Fasting is not a new concept. It is encoded in our DNA. Our ancestors, who lived in harmony with the land, did not have access to food 24/7. They ate when they gathered or harvested and during times of scarcity. Their bodies adapted to fasting. This natural rhythm of fasting and feasting allowed their bodies to operate efficiently, keeping them lean, strong, and mentally sharp. When we fast, we reawaken this ancient rhythm. Our bodies remember what it means to operate without constant consumption, and they return to a state of balance. Hormonal signals reset, insulin levels drop, and the body taps into stored fat for energy, a process known as lipolysis. The body becomes metabolically flexible, able to switch between burning glucose and fat effortlessly. This metabolic flexibility is the key to longevity and vitality, allowing the body to adapt to changing environments and energy demands. We have been conditioned to believe that food equals energy. While it is true that food provides somewhat fuel, it is not the only or even the most efficient source of energy. The body is equipped with an internal energy system that, when activated, sustains life far beyond what external consumption can provide. This system taps into stored fat, converting it into ketones, which serve as a clean, sustainable fuel source for the body and brain. When we rely only on food for energy, we become trapped in a cycle of dependency. The quick bursts of glucose from processed foods and carbohydrates provide temporary energy, but leave us crashing shortly after. This crash triggers hunger, leading to more consumption, and the cycle continues. We become slaves to food. Slaves to food, believing we need constant refueling, when in reality, the body is capable of sustaining itself without this perpetual cycle. True energy does not come from food. It comes from movement. The body was designed to move, to engage with the world physically. Movement activates the body's natural energy systems, increasing circulation, oxygenating the blood, and stimulating the release of endorphins. When we move, we generate energy from within, tapping into reserves that lie dormant when the body is sluggish. Consider how energized you feel after a brisk walk or an intense workout. This energy does not come from the food consumed hours before. It arises from the body's natural response to movement. When we move, we increase the powerhouse of the cell, enhancing the body's ability to produce ATP, also known as adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency of the cell. The more we move, the more efficient our bodies become, allowing us to generate energy from within. We live in a world where convenience is prioritized over activity, where cars replace walking and screens replace physical engagement. As a result, we have become sedentary beings who seek energy from external sources rather than activating our internal reserves. Food has become a crutch, a replacement for the natural vitality that arises from movement and activity. When we stop moving and rely only on food for energy, the body stagnates, muscles weaken, metabolism slows, and the natural cycles of repair and regeneration are disrupted. But when we reintroduce fasting and movement into our lives, the body remembers. It remembers how to generate energy, how to heal, and how to thrive. One of the greatest illusions we face is the belief that fullness equals nourishment. We equate a full stomach with satisfaction, yet this fullness often leaves us sluggish and disconnected from our bodies. True nourishment comes not from fullness, but from balance, from giving the body what it needs when it needs it, and allowing it the space to rest and repair. Fasting teaches us this balance. It strips away the noise and allows us to listen to the body's true signals. Hunger becomes a guide, not a master. We learn to differentiate between physical hunger and emotional cravings, between nourishment and mere consumption. The natural state of the body is not one of constant consumption, it is one of balance, where periods of nourishment are followed by periods of rest. Just as nature operates in cycles of growth and dormancy, the body thrives when it is allowed to pause, reset, and renew. Fasting is the key to restoring this balance. When we embrace fasting as a return to our natural state, we reclaim control over our bodies. We break free from the cycle of overconsumption and rediscover the body's innate wisdom. We learn that energy is not something we take from the outside, it is something we cultivate from within. In the chapters that follow, we will explore how this return to our natural state can transform not only our physical health, but also our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. But by understanding the power of fasting and movement, we unlock the body's true potential, paving the way for a life of vitality, clarity, and profound connection. Chapter 2. The addiction to food. In a world where convenience reigns supreme, food has transformed from a source of nourishment into an object of addiction. What was once a sacred act of fueling the body has been reduced to a cycle of endless consumption, where the lines between hunger and habit are blurred beyond recognition. The modern day relationship with food is not one of balance or respect. It is a dependency that mirrors other forms of addiction, trapping individuals in a perpetual loop of craving, consumption, and temporary satisfaction. To break free from this cycle, we must first confront the truth. Food, as it exists today, is engineered to be addictive. It is not simply about hunger or survival anymore. It is about stimulation, reward, and an escape from discomfort. We are no longer eating to nourish the body. We are eating to soothe the mind, to silence emotions, and to fill a void that food can never truly satisfy. Food was never meant to be a source of constant entertainment or emotional comfort. Our ancestors ate to survive, to fuel their bodies for the work required to build, to gather, and thrive. Their relationship with food was simple. Eat when hungry, stop when satisfied, and allow the body time to process and reset before the next meal. This rhythm, deeply aligned with nature, kept their bodies lean, strong, and disease-free. But as society advanced, food became more than just fuel. Industrialization, coupled with advances in food science, led to the creation of hyper-palatable foods, engineered to trigger dopamine release in the brain, much like a drug. Processed foods loaded with sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats hijack the brain's reward system, creating an artificial sense of satisfaction that fades quickly, leaving the body craving more. The shift from nourishment to pleasure was subtle but profound. Food, once a necessity, became a source of entertainment. It became a way to escape boredom, numb emotions, and fill the empty spaces in our lives. In this new paradigm, eating is no longer about feeding the body. It is about feeding the mind's desire for stimulation and comfort. Food addiction operates on the same principles as any other addiction. It begins with a trigger, often stress, boredom, loneliness, or emotional discomfort. This trigger activates the brain's reward system, prompting the desire for something that provides immediate relief. In the case of food, that relief comes in the form of highly processed, sugar-laden, and calorie-dense foods that flood the brain with dopamine, the feel-good transmitter. The initial hit of dopamine provides a fleeting sense of pleasure and comfort, but it is short-lived. As dopamine levels drop, the body is left craving more, leading to a cycle of repeated consumption. Over time, the brain becomes desensitized to these dopamine spikes, requiring larger and larger quantities of food to achieve the same level of satisfaction. This is the hallmark of addiction. Tolerance builds, cravings intensify, and consumption spirals out of control. At the core of food addiction lies a psychological dependency that is deeply rooted in emotional and environmental factors. From childhood, we are conditioned to associate food with comfort, reward, and celebration. We are given sweets when we behave, cakes to mark special occasions, and comfort foods to soothe sadness. These associations become ingrained in the subconscious mind, creating a pattern where food is linked not to nourishment, but to emotional regulation. When life becomes overwhelming, we instinctively turn to food for solace. Stress, anxiety, and emotional pain trigger a subconscious response to seek comfort through eating. But this comfort is an illusion, a temporary distraction from the underlying discomfort that remains unaddressed. Food becomes a coping mechanism, masking the real issues that need healing. Emotional eating, binge eating, and compulsive snacking are all manifestations of this psychological dependency. The mind, Seeking relief from discomfort drives the body to consume, creating a false sense of control and escape. But the relief is fleeting, and the cycle continues, leaving the individual trapped in an endless loop of craving and consumption. The physiology of food addiction. On a physiological level, food addiction is just as real and powerful as substance addiction. When we consume sugar, refined carbohydrates, and processed foods, the brain releases large amounts of dopamine, creating a sense of euphoria similar to that experienced with drugs like cocaine or nicotine. This flood of dopamine alters the brain's reward circuitry, rewiring neural pathways and reinforcing the compulsion to seek out these foods repeatedly. Over time, the brain's response to dopamine diminishes, leading to what is known as dopamine resistance. This means that the same foods that once provided pleasure no longer have the same effect, requiring higher doses, larger quantities, and more frequent consumption to achieve the same high. This is why individuals trapped in food addiction often find themselves consuming larger portions or eating even when they are not physically hungry. Insulin resistance, another consequence of chronic overeating, compounds the problem. When the body is constantly bombarded with sugar and processed foods, insulin levels remain elevated, preventing the body from efficiently utilizing glucose for energy. This leads to fatigue, sluggishness, and even more cravings for quick fix energy sources, perpetuating the addiction. The food industry is well aware of this cycle, and it has capitalized on it. Processed foods are meticulously designed to keep consumers hooked. The perfect combination of sugar, fat, and salt creates what scientists call the bliss point, the point where the taste is so pleasurable that it overrides the body's natural satiety signals. These foods are deliberately engineered to bypass the body's built-in mechanisms that regulate hunger and fullness, making it nearly impossible to stop eating. Just like with addictive substances, the brain's reward system becomes hijacked, prioritizing short-term pleasure over long-term health. This is why people often say they feel powerless over certain foods, because they are. Their brains have been reprogrammed to crave these foods, making it incredibly difficult to resist. When we compare food addiction to drug addiction, the similarities are striking. Both activate the brain's reward pathways, creating a cycle of craving, consumption, and withdrawal. Both lead to tolerance, where the individual requires more of the substance to achieve the same desired effect. And both result in withdrawal symptoms, irritability, fatigue, and anxiety when the substance is removed. But unlike drug addiction, food addiction is socially acceptable and often goes unnoticed. It is normalized, celebrated even. In a culture that promotes overindulgence and emotional eating, the consequences, however, are just as devastating. Obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and a host of other chronic illnesses that stem from prolonged consumption of unhealthy foods. To break free from the grip of food addiction, we must address both the psychological and physiological aspects of the dependency. It is not enough to simply cut out processed foods or reduce caloric intake. True healing requires a shift in consciousness, a reprogramming of the mind and body to restore balance and break the cycle of addiction. Being in our natural state is one of the most powerful ways for breaking free from food addiction. When we fast, we disrupt the constant influx of dopamine that fuels the addiction. We allow the brain to reset, giving the reward system a chance to recalibrate and regain sensitivity to natural sources of pleasure. Autophagy, activated during fasting, clears out damaged cells and resets the body's internal environment, creating space for healing and renewal. Reclaiming control over food addiction is not about willpower, it is about awareness and alignment. It is about recognizing the patterns that keep us trapped and making conscious choices that align with the body's natural state. Through fasting, we break the chains of dependency, allowing the body to remember what it means to function without constant consumption. When we understand that food addiction is not just about the body, but also about the mind, we begin to approach healing from a holistic perspective. We address the emotional triggers, rewire the brain's reward system, and restore the body's natural balance. In doing so, we reclaim our freedom from the endless cycle of craving and consumption, and freedom to live in harmony with the body's true nature. In the following chapters, we will explore how fasting not only breaks the addiction to food, but also restores vitality, clarity, and a profound sense of connection to the self. As we unlearn the habits of overconsumption and embrace the rhythm of our natural state, we step into a state of true empowerment, one where the body is no longer a slave to addiction, but a vessel of strength, resilience, and profound wisdom. And we'll go ahead and take a pause right there. Round of applause right there. Shout out to Nabiha for writing this. And yes, this definitely is, the knowledge that I did not learn in college, many did not learn in college, but this is some information we need in the nation that can reduce a lot of frustration and inflammation, if we know what we're talking about here. So blessings, my friend. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you always for just being here. I appreciate you. And once again, this has just been a few of the wisdom from the ages from one of today's modern sages. We'll catch you next time on the Pranic Pages.